In the middle of a torrential downpour, Maya stood trembling as her father Arthur hurled a thick stack of bills at her feet, the paper scattering into the mud. He looked at her with such coldness that it hurt more than the freezing rain, his voice booming over the thunder as he disowned his only biological daughter. "Take this pittance, Maya. It's the last cent you will ever get from me. You are a disgrace to the Sterling name, choosing your pathetic gadgets over family tradition." Maya didn't cry. She simply reached down, picked up a single sodden bill, and looked him in the eye, promising that one day he would regret choosing ego over blood. 5 years later, the once mighty Sterling Empire was a hollow shell, gasping for air as creditors circled like vultures around Arthur's crumbling office. He spent his nights staring at a blank phone, waiting for a call from a mysterious venture capital firm known only as Apex Global, his final hope for survival. But before we reveal the shocking face behind the desk at Apex Global, I want to take a moment to welcome all of you to the channel and get to know our community. Who is watching with us today? Drop a comment below telling us your name and which city or country you are tuning in from right now. We love seeing how far these stories travel. So don't be shy, introduce yourself, and let's see which part of the world is representing the loudest today. Also, if you enjoy stories of justice, transformation, and ultimate revenge, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Go ahead and smash that like button right now to show your support. It really helps us keep bringing these incredible tales to life for you every single day. Now let's go back to the night everything changed. Back to the grand ballroom where the Sterling family held their annual gala 5 years ago. The room was filled with the scent of expensive lily and the sound of clinking crystal, a world where appearance was the only currency that mattered. Maya, a brilliant software engineer with a vision for the future, arrived in a simple dress, carrying a tablet that held the blueprints for a revolutionary AI system. She wasn't there for the champagne or the social climbing. She was there to show her father that her gadgets could save their fading manufacturing business. Arthur, however, was busy parading his new wife Elena, a woman who wore diamonds like armor and viewed Maya as a threat to her own status. Elena's son, Marcus, stood by his mother's side, a man who had never worked a day in his life, but was already being toasted as the heir to the throne. When Maya finally approached her father in the study, hoping for a moment of his time, Elena blocked the path with a sneer that dripped with condescension. "Look at you, Maya. You look like you're here to fix the Wi-Fi, not attend a gala. Why do you insist on embarrassing your father with these toys?" Maya ignored her and spoke directly to Arthur, explaining that their current logistics model was failing and that her software could cut costs by 40%. Arthur didn't even look at the screen. He was too embarrassed by the whispers of his peers, who wondered why his daughter didn't dress like a real socialite. "Enough, Maya," Arthur shouted, loud enough for the guests in the hallway to hear. "I have built this empire on steel and sweat, not on imaginary numbers and code." He accused her of being ungrateful for the elite education he provided, claiming she was throwing her life away on a hobby that would never pay the bills. Elena fueled the fire, whispering in Arthur's ear that Maya was likely just trying to trick him into giving her more money for her failed experiments. That was the night Arthur made his choice, choosing the shallow loyalty of his stepfamily over the genuine brilliance of his own daughter. He threw her out into the storm, literally and figuratively, stripping her of her title, her access to funds, and the only home she had ever known. Maya disappeared into the city that night, possessing nothing but her tablet, a fierce intellect, and a heart that had turned into cold, hard flint. She lived in a cramped studio apartment, working 3 jobs just to keep the servers for her project running, eating ramen while she coded until sunrise. She watched from afar as Marcus was promoted to Chief Operating Officer of Sterling Industries, a move that made the company's stock price begin its slow, steady crawl downward. Maya knew that Marcus was incompetent, but she also realized he was something far worse. He was greedy and arrogant, a dangerous combination for a CEO, while Marcus spent the company's reserves on private jets and yachts. Maya was building a network of silent partners who saw the genius in her algorithms. She rebranded her project as Apex Global, a tech-driven investment firm that used her AI to predict market shifts before they even happened. Within 3 years, Apex Global was a ghost in the machine, a company everyone in Silicon Valley whispered about, but no one could truly identify. Maya remained in the shadows, her name scrubbed from the public records of the firm, letting her work speak louder than any social media presence could. Meanwhile, Arthur's world was falling apart. The steel mills were closing, the logistics contracts were being canceled, and the debt was mounting to billions. Elena, sensing the ship was sinking, began moving assets into her own private accounts, preparing to flee before the final bankruptcy papers were served. Marcus had been cooking the books for years, hiding the fact that he had lost hundreds of millions in high-stakes gambling and failed offshore ventures. When the truth finally came out, Arthur was devastated, realizing that the tradition he had protected was nothing more than a facade built by thieves. His lawyers told him there was only one person powerful enough to buy the debt and save the sterling name, the CEO of Apex Global. Arthur reached out dozens of times, begging for a meeting, but he was ignored, left to sweat in his silent office as the foreclosure signs were printed. Finally, a call came through. The CEO was willing to meet, but only at the Apex Global headquarters, and only if Arthur brought his entire family. Arthur, Elena, and a trembling Marcus arrived at the gleaming glass tower that housed Apex Global, feeling like peasants entering a royal palace. The lobby was a masterpiece of modern art and high-tech security, a far cry from the dusty mahogany-paneled offices Arthur was used to. Elena tried to maintain her composure, complaining about the weight and the unprofessional nature of the secrecy surrounding the CEO's identity. "Once we get this funding, we'll show these tech upstarts who really runs this city," she whispered to Marcus, who was busy wiping sweat from his forehead. They were eventually led to the top floor, a space that overlooked the entire skyline, including the now dimmed neon sign of Sterling Industries in the distance. A sleek black leather chair was turned away from them, facing the window where the sun was beginning to set over the horizon. "Thank you for seeing us," Arthur began, his voice cracking with a desperation he had never felt before. "We are in a position of temporary liquidity issues." The chair didn't move, but a calm feminine voice replied, "Temporary? You are $3 billion in debt, Arthur. You aren't liquid. You're drowning." Arthur froze. He recognized that voice, but his brain refused to make the connection, convinced that Maya was still living in poverty somewhere. "I am prepared to offer a full buyout," the voice continued. "I will pay every debt, clear every lien, and ensure the Sterling name doesn't end up in a landfill." Elena stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with greed. "And what are the terms?" "We expect a seat on the board and a significant equity stake." "Of course." The chair slowly rotated, revealing a woman whose presence filled the room with an almost electric authority. It was Maya, looking like a queen. She was wearing a tailored suit that cost more than Arthur's car, her hair perfectly styled, and her eyes sharp with a wisdom that had been forged in fire. On the desk in front of her sat the most recent issue of Forbes, with her face on the cover under the headline, "The Woman Who Bought the Future." Arthur gasped, his knees buckling as he gripped the edge of the mahogany desk for support. "Maya, how is this possible?" "I told you 5 years ago that my gadgets were the future, Father," Maya said, her voice steady and devoid of the anger he expected. "You just weren't listening." Elena's face turned a sickly shade of gray as she realized that the girl she had mocked was now the person who held her entire lifestyle in her hands. "This is a trick," Marcus shouted, his cowardice turning into a pathetic attempt at bravado. "She probably stole this company or slept her way to the top." Maya didn't even look at him. She simply pressed a button on her desk, and a large screen behind her illuminated with a series of bank statements. "These are the records of your offshore ventures, Marcus," Maya said. And these are the logs of the money Elena has been skimming from the sterling accounts. Arthur turned to his wife and stepson, the betrayal hitting him like a physical blow. He had sacrificed his own daughter for these predators. Maya stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city she had conquered while they were busy trying to destroy her. "I'm not here to save you, Arthur," she said, turning back to him. "I'm here to save the thousands of employees whose livelihoods you and Marcus gambled away." She pushed a single document across the desk. It was a total surrender of all assets, a complete handover of Sterling Industries to Apex Global. "If you sign this, I pay the debts," Maya explained. "But you, Elena, and Marcus will leave the office today with nothing but the clothes on your backs." Elena began to scream, threatening to sue. But Maya's legal team entered the room, a phalanx of the best attorneys in the country, and she went silent. Arthur looked at the daughter he had disowned, seeing for the first time the strength and character he had been too blind to recognize before. "I was wrong, Maya," he whispered, tears finally streaming down his face. "I was so incredibly wrong. Can you ever forgive a foolish old man?" Maya looked at him for a long moment, the silence in the room heavy with the weight of 5 years of pain and struggle. "I forgave you a long time ago, Father," she said softly. "But forgiveness doesn't mean I'm going to let you stay in a position where you can hurt more people." Arthur picked up the pen with trembling hands and signed the document, officially ending the era of his reign and beginning the era of hers. As security escorted Elena and Marcus out of the building, their protests echoing down the hallway, Arthur remained, looking broken and small in the vast office. Maya didn't humiliate him further. She simply told her assistant to arrange a modest pension and a small house for him, far away from the corporate world. She had won, not by seeking revenge through violence, but by becoming so successful that her existence was the ultimate proof of her worth. The sterling sign was taken down the next day, replaced by the sleek logo of Apex Global, a symbol of a new age led by a woman who refused to be broken. Maya's story became a legend in the business world, a reminder that the people we cast aside today might be the ones we have to beg for help tomorrow. She never forgot the night in the rain, but she used that memory as fuel to build a world where merit mattered more than a name or a pedigree. And as for Arthur, he spent his remaining years watching his daughters rise from a distance, finally understanding that his greatest legacy wasn't his company, but her. This story shows that no matter how many people doubt you or try to bring you down, your talent and hard work will always have the final word. If you found Maya's journey as inspiring as we did, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and give this video a big thumbs up. Your support allows us to keep sharing these powerful stories of triumph and justice, so don't forget to hit that notification bell for more. Thank you for watching, and we can't wait to see you in the next video. Stay strong and keep building your own empire.